What is up, guys? This time around, we're going to be replacing a battery on an iPhone 6. So let's go ahead and get to that video.
It's just a static electricity. It's us moving to the sound. Your lips are all I need.
What is up, guys? So this video is going to be kind of something interesting. My wife has an iPhone 6. Specifically, she likes the smaller phones. And so her iPhone 6 is right at the threshold of replacement. So we took it to the Apple store and they said that basically her battery's dead and needs to be replaced. And she's getting throttled. So her iPhone is at not even half speed of what it used to be. So Apple's charging 50 bucks, now they're charging 30 bucks, but I actually got authentic Apple battery for $10. So I will be replacing this iPhone 6 battery. What are the chances? I do have the tool to take this apart, so I don't have to wait for them to send me the tool set, the cheaply made tool set. And I have a nice multi-tool set. So the first step actually is to just take these two bottom screws out right over here. If I get it to focus. Probably can't get it to focus. There we go. There's two screws here and here next to the lightning port. You want to actually remove those two screws. And that is like the bulk of the screws that you have to take out. Remember, these screws are very tiny, so just make sure you don't lose them. Now, what's working for me, at least the bit that's actually working for me, is the 0.08 star bit. So it's a very, very small bit, but if you have one of these multi-tool sets, it more than likely will come with it. Alright. Now, if you have a suction cup, that's great. This will help you out a lot. If you don't, look for one. And you just want to suction it in like this. Make sure you have a good grip. And with these two screws out, if you start pulling up, then the whole top assembly is going to start pulling out. You guys see that right there? It's coming up. Now you want something like a spudger tool. And what you want to do is kind of pry it up the best you can. From this end, there's a notch right here above the headphone port. So that's where the stubborn part's gonna come from. So as you're pulling up, if you could get underneath that port right there and kind of help it up. And do it as gently as you can would be ideal. Now, I'd prefer to probably use a pick at this point. Use a thicker pick here to get the rest of this off. And again, all it is very, very slight pressure. And literally, it's almost no pressure at all. I'm literally just barely prying it up. Not pulling on this tab at all where the suction cup is. And it's just gonna literally come up on its own. There you go. And there's a few ways to do this. You could do it without taking out the screen, which I prefer to do. I don't want to pull out this screen, but I mean, it's not that hard to pull out the screen. It's just 4 screws here, or 5 screws here, 6 screws here, and then you pop off the ribbon cable for the screen. But again, that's not necessary. Just rest it on something. And then once you have this open, before you start taking out the battery, you're gonna want a small Phillips screwdriver. You're gonna want to pull off these two right here. Work slow. I believe one screw is longer than the other, so know where you took out which screw. Yeah, one screw is longer than the other, and it's kind of intuitive which screw should go in where. But once you have this, you can take your pry tool or tweezers or whatever and just pop this off. There you go. There's pull tabs here. What you want to do is warm the pull tabs up first. That's probably the ideal way, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go for broke. Shoot. Work slow, guys. Slow and steady wins the race. Or something like this. I knew that I wasn't going to get the pull tabs out from the start, so I knew I had to pry this thing. And then, as we start prying, we'll go deeper and deeper into the larger. There we go. And if you can get to the pull tabs and try to use the pull tabs, that is actually ideal. Whatever you do, you want to use the pull tabs first, or you want to try to use the pull tabs first. Yes, so I got it. Yeah, you want to try to use the pull tabs first before you use the pry method, because the pry method is not the best. It's not the best thing you could do to your phone. I hate these pull tab things. I know what's gonna happen. I know what's gonna happen. Perfect, got it. Now the reason why various things we get from here, pop it off this way. I messed up this battery. I was trying to be as careful as I can, but the reason why you want to pry it first is, well, number one, it'll loosen up the adhesive. Now I'm not gonna add an adhesive when I install this. I already just put it in. I gave it a startup and everything is working. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off now. And then put everything back together. I did not put in an adhesive where the battery goes. It's just literally wobbling, but the pressure from the screen should hold it in just fine. And then when you're putting it in, just push down. And everything should click back in, and the battery does not wobble at all, because literally the pressure of the screen is sandwiching the battery together. A couple of other things. When you do this, make sure that you don't make stupid mistakes like me. Make sure you put everything back together. Make sure everything is back together. One thing that I totally forgot to do was put this tray back in. I'm gonna do that right now. This tray, after the battery is connected, needs to go back in, like such. When you're putting this back in, guys, there is a front lip right here. What you want to do is you want to push the screen in and get that lip in first. Once that lip is in, everything will just fall into place. You just push on the sides and the tip, and there you go. That's all it is. Once this is in, the screen is going to hold in the battery. So you're not going to hear any rattles. The battery is set in there by the pressure of the screen and the case. It will not bulge, everything will be perfect. You don't really need the adhesives. Once you have that, let's put the bottom screws back in. These screws down here, guys, be very gentle with it. you will strip it incredibly quickly. So basically, as soon as you feel tension, just stop. Alright, and I'm gonna go ahead and full charge this and then we are done. That is how easy it was to replace one of these batteries, guys. Quite literally with minimal tools and minimal skill level. This is my first time opening up an iPhone. I managed to replace the battery and we're good to go. We got now the original battery. I'm gonna put it back in the case. I don't know if this damaged it too much. I don't see it bubbling, so I think it'll still be okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this for emergencies. This is a brand new battery. Let's go ahead and charge it up. So after the iPhone 6 video, or after I replaced it, my wife's reaction, because it was her phone, right after I replaced it, do you feel that your iPhone 6 got faster after I replaced your battery?
No.
And then a day later after the battery replacement. Okay, so now after using that new battery in iPhone 6 for one full day, is the iPhone 6 faster? Does the battery last longer?
Same.
Replacing the iPhone 6 battery, is the phone faster and does the battery last longer?
I want new iPhone SE.
It's like I'm living with a 17-year-old. After a day of using the iPhone 6 after the battery replacement, did the battery replacement make the iPhone 6 faster? And does the battery last longer?
Yes.
So, even after the battery replacement, my wife is getting random reboots. I don't think it's the battery, I'm not sure. I contacted the seller, but I might have to open it up and recheck all the connections because she was getting random reboots. That's why we took it to the Genius Bar and they told us that she was on the brink of her battery life and it needed to be replaced within a month. So I'm not sure, but guys, if you have a phone that you feel slowing down, if it's rebooting on its own at a low percentage, then most likely it's a battery issue, and it was really easy to do, especially because the screen is not glued onto the phone. So that is it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys are having a great day, great night, great whenever you're watching this. And remember, live well, laugh more.